Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Skip claims that last night showed once again that Russell Westbrook is the clear MVP despite his fourth quarter performance. Shannon channels some George Orwell to explain the difference in the Patriots White House visit from 2015 to 2017. Our man Nelly checks in to explain the money in a potential Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather boxing match. Former NBA star Eddie House joins the debate about if the Warriors are a better team with or without Kevin Durant. Plus, what do Skip and Shannon make of Mel Kiper's NFL mock draft with only one quarterback going in the first round? Yes, Shannon, do you need a timeout?
Joy, hold on. I need a 20-second timeout.
You need to be on a different show.
Skip.
The fashion police.
Skip.
You can police yourself.
Wait a minute, Skip.
Because you need policing every day.
Skip.
Yes.
What happened? I mean, I called Twitter last night. I said, there's something wrong with Mr. Bayless. He's not tweeting. I said, when LeBron plays, he's tweeting about he's jacking up too many threes.
For once, I was indisposed last night.
Yeah.
I had a prior engagement.
Okay.
I did. I really did.
Okay.
Fiery start to this morning.
It was Ernestine. It was.
No, don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. Ernestine, I'm not going to let it blame you. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, Skip.
Well, I'm sure we'll get some tweeting tonight. But let's start in the NBA. The Rockets beat the Thunder by 4 last night to take a 2-0 lead. James Harden had 35 points and 8 assists. Russell Westbrook had 51 points and a triple-double, but he shot the ball 43 times, including an NBA playoff record 18 times in the fourth quarter. Let's take a listen to Westbrook and Harden after the game.
It wasn't pretty. We didn't make a lot of shots, and, we gave them an early lead. And then we had to fight our way back, and, we did. So we didn't give up. We continue to grind and fight and figure a way to win, and tonight was a perfect case.
I just was mad, try to get on my teammates and make sure they understand the importance of the game and understand we can't give up leads like that on the road.
So how would you grade, when you look at your line on the box score, how would you grade the line?
I don't give a about the line. We lost.
Shannon, how much is Westbrook to blame for the
All
loss?
of it. All of it, Skip Bayless. All. Big A. Big L. Even bigger L at the end. All of it. Because for 3 quarters in the ball game, he shot them to a lead. 12 points at one time. He went to the bench with about 2 minutes left in the third quarter, and they gave all of it back except 3 points. And then in the fourth quarter, he shot them out of the ball game. He went to the bench. He had 36 points, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds. He was 13 of 25. And I'm like, okay, Russell is on to something. Getting his teammates involved. He's doing what he's supposed to be. He's shooting volumes, but he's shooting a high percentage. And then something happens, Skip. Fourth quarter rolls around.
What happened?
You tell me. You know what happened, but I'm going to tell you what happened. Put the ball up 18 times. Now, mind you, through the first 3 quarters, he had only shot the ball 25 times. He put the ball up 18 times in the fourth quarter. He made 4 of those shots. He had 2 assists in the fourth quarter. He had 1 rebound in the fourth quarter. Hold up. As a matter of fact, he had 2 rebounds in the second half, 1 in the fourth quarter. And everybody goes to say, well, Shannon, who is he going to pass the ball to? Pass the ball to the guys that shot a high field goal percentage and a high three-point percentage than you did, Russell. That's who you're going to pass it to. Who helped get that 12-point lead that you once had? Pass it to those guys. 43 field goal attempts.
Wow.
43, Skip Bayless. That's terrible. And you know what? But guess what, Skip? He had a triple-double. It sounded good. The most points ever in a playoff triple-double. Also, the most field goal attempts ever in a playoff triple-double. You going to talk about that, Skip? Probably not, because he had a nice round box line.
How do you know what I'm going to talk
Why can I know you? 51 points, 10 rebounds, 13 assists.
Well, those are big numbers.
Big numbers.
Wow.
What's a bigger number is those 18 attempts that he shot in the fourth quarter. 29 more field goal attempts than the next closest player to him, which was Victor Oladipo. And you expect to win like that. Because, see, this is what Russell does. And I've been watching. Because Skip Bayless said he watches every game. Because Russell is box office. You know, box office joint. I watch every game that he played. I said, you know what? I'm going to watch. I watched 2 games very, very closely. I watched this game here, and I watched the game he played against Phoenix. Now, when he played against Phoenix, he had shot the ball 6. He was 6 of 25. Now, Russell has more 20-point missed field goal games than the rest of the NBA combined. And he knew that. So he didn't want to shoot it. He's passing wide open threes. Russell passing them up. They asked him after the game, well, Russell, why didn't you shoot the ball? I couldn't make any shot. What the hell you want me to do? See, he was out of the game. He couldn't play hero ball. Last night, he could be the hero. So even though he was missing, and some of those 3-point field goals, Skip, didn't even draw iron. Now, I know, but you were out of commission last night. You had something to do with Ernestine. It's not your fault, Ernestine. It's his fault. You know when LeBron is shooting threes, oh, LeBron, drive the basketball. Why are you shooting threes? Can you tell me why Russell Westbrook was 2 of 11, still shooting threes?
Russell Westbrook is 6 feet 3 inches tall and probably weighs, what, 190 maybe?
What that got to do
wait a
with
second. LeBron James is 6 feet 9 inches tall and weighs, what, 270? He's like 2 of Russell Westbrook. He is unstoppable driving the basketball if you actually take it all the way to the rim. Russell Westbrook is a little man dominating a huge man's game. Go ahead.
Russell is the guy at the casino. Joy, you've been to the casino. You know, you sit down and you get on the hot streak and you just run. You play a blackjack, you doubling down on 14. Woo! 7, 21. You splitting aces and you get a king, you get a queen. 21. Oh, you feeling good. You just got a hot streak. But here's the thing, but you don't understand about the casino. They have an unlimited supply of money. They can weather your storm. And that's what they did. The Houston Rockets weathered Russell's storm. And so instead of him saying, you know what, I'm going to hold some of this back, he kept gunning. And he gunned them out of the ball game. You know it, and I know it.
I don't know it. Are you like seeing inside my head?
I'm psychic.
Oh, okay.
And this makes it crystal clear for me.
Okay.
In an interview about 2 days ago, Russell said he had no friends. The only friend that he has is Spalding.
Or when he was a kid, Wilson. But go ahead.
And Kevin Durant said, you know what? You don't want to share your friend Spalding. And I'm not your friend. Only friend you got is that basketball. He says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go somewhere where they got friends on the court and they share their other friends.
So help me out before I answer Joy's initial question.
Yes.
Let's see. Does Russell Westbrook have a Kyle Korver on his team, the best spot-up three-point shooter?
We don't know because he won't pass him the ball.
Oh, okay. I don't think he does. Does he have a Kevin Love who's turned into one of the best spot-up 6'10" three-point shooters in basketball? I don't think so. Does he have a Channing Frye who's probably the best 7-foot three-point shooter in basketball? I don't think he does. Does he have a Kyrie Irving who is the baddest man on the planet when it comes to making fourth-quarter three-point shots? He does not have that guy. Does he have a J.R. Smith who can get as hot as anybody in the NBA? He does not have that guy. He has none of the above.
You gonna let me finish my argument?
And LeBron is going to shoot threes. Why would he shoot 1 3? He doesn't need to shoot 1. Go ahead. You started it. I finished it.
Skip. He had 11 assists through the first 3 quarters.
Tell me when it's my turn.
Okay, I will. He had 11 assists through the first 3 quarters. He had 2 in the third quarter. How about do what you did in the first 3 quarters?
Okay.
And you walk away with the win.
Oh,
how about that?
By the way, I kept thinking last night, I was at an event.
You think?
And I kept walking around the corner to watch the game, and they said, what are you doing? I'm watching.
Be present, Skip. Be present.
Tweet, because I don't like to tweet off my phone. I just don't like it. It just doesn't feel right to me. But that's just me. But
can't tweet on the flip phone anyway.
I don't have a flip phone.
Okay, go ahead, Skip. Make your point.
In fact, you got an old phone, because when I got.
Why you worried about what I got?
That's okay.
You took all the money. That's all I could afford.
Is it my turn now?
It's your turn.
I'm going to blame Russell Westbrook exactly 0% for what happened last night because he was the reason, capital T-H-E reason, that they had a 12-point lead late in the third quarter when he did finally, at 2:21 left in the third, say, I'm going to take my customary rest. Okay. And I kept thinking of you as I was watching around the corner from the event. You actually dared to throw out that you would give me 22 points at the end of the show, but we ran out of time because we had to give it the handoff to Colin, right? And I was thinking, I could have had 22 points, and I would have been pretty good. It might have gotten a little dicey there at the end, but I think I would have been okay with 22 points that you were offering.
You got scared.
Yeah.
Scared money
Well,
don't
I
make
thought they'd
money.
lose by 15, and they sort of effectively lost by 15. That's what it felt like at the end of the game. But here's the point. Once again, last night, Russell Westbrook made his MVP case loudly with all the NBA world watching on national TV, and he also made it very sadly because it was so painfully clear that James Harden has so much more help than Russell Westbrook has. And let's go back to that flashpoint moment when Russell did take his customary rest with 2:21 left in the third, and as you pointed out, that was a great full game line that he had at that point, right?
Yes.
13 of 25 for 36 points and 11 assists and 9 rebounds. Wow, what a big-time game that was.
Big time.
And by the way, could we just flash back for a second? Because we can't let this one go to that play late in the second quarter, if we could. Do you remember this one where he goes behind his back twice? Could we see this play? I'm sure here we go. Wait, that wasn't. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Behind his back, behind his back. Whoa! Oh, have you ever seen anything quite like that?
LeBron do it all the time.
That was sick. And then I got sick when I watched what happened at the end of the third quarter, because during that stretch, you've been talking about gone in 60 seconds. How about gone in 90 seconds? Because with Russ on the bench, the Houston Rockets went on a 12-3 tear, and it was horrifying to watch. And Russ couldn't take it either, because Russ usually rests for 2 to 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. So he gets his big rest, and then he comes in 1,000 miles an hour to close out the game. But he goes to Billy Donovan, says, this is outrageously bad. You got to put me back in now. I can't do my customary length of rest, because the lead had fallen all the way to 89-86 at that point. And what happened from that point on? Russell is thinking, I got so little help. I do have to play hero ball. I'm going to try to save the day. And once again, he tried to do way too much, and you were right about this. He began to force it 1-on-5 every time because it's all he's got. Have you noticed what is happening to Victor Oladipo, his running mate, who's playing in his first 2 playoff games of his career? Have you noticed what's happened to Oladipo in the first 2 games of this series? He is now a combined 5 for 26. That is a staggering 19% from the field. But even worse, from the three-point line, he is Victor Oladipo 1 for 13. That is a grand total of 8% from the three-point line. Is that help? What kind of help? That's all he's got. But he does have the second best offensive player on his team that comes off the bench and has one of the highest PERs in the league year after year. Last year, a year ago, Enes Kanter had the 11th best PER in the league because he comes in, and you're talking about efficient and lighting it up immediately. This year, he was 19th in PER, which is still top 20, which is still pretty great. What has happened, Shannon Sharpe, in this series? Billy Donovan has decided he cannot play Enes Kanter because Enes Kanter is clearly a liability on the defensive end against the Houston Rockets. So you can't rob Peter to pay Paul. You can't pay me now to pay me later. So he's just saying, I'm not going to play my second best offensive player. So it went from 16 minutes in game 1 to a grand total last night. Enes Kanter, you see what he got? 8 minutes. Enes Kanter, who averaged for the year 14 points and 7 rebounds a game, has a grand total of 12 points and 4 rebounds in 2 games because he just doesn't play. You see it? Okay, so those are your 2 best helpers on offense. You got Kyle Korver? No, you don't have Kyle. Wait, do you have Kevin Love? No. Kyrie? No. Wait, you got Oladipo and Enes Kanter on offense. What would you think if you were Russell Westbrook? You'd think, we have blown this lead because I dared to sit out for 90 seconds at the end of the third quarter. I'm going to try to win this game by myself, and he couldn't do it because this other team is just too deep with athletes. They're a pretty good defensive team, especially when it's 1-on-5, because people were all over Russell Westbrook. And what have I told you all year long? The Oklahoma City Thunder are the worst three-point shooting team in basketball.
So why is Russell shooting 11 of them?
Because he became their best three-point shooter down the stretch at the end of the year. When he had a couple of games where he was 50% from the field, he'd make your basic 7 for 13.
That's fool's gold. Remember you said that about LeBron?
But it's, again, he doesn't have LeBron's help. It's fool's gold for LeBron because you can fall back on all Kyle Korver and Kevin Love and Kyrie. You got way better three-point shooters. He's got none. He's got nobody. He's got Robertson out there trying to shoot his set shot.
So why is it if LeBron has all this help, why is LeBron's plus minus when he's off the court worse than Russell's?
Are you making an anti-LeBron case?
No, I'm saying it's minus 16. There's a differential between he getting 7.5 when he's on the court, 8.5 when he's off the court.
So wait, you're saying when LeBron's off the court, they're worse. So that would be advantage to Russell, right? You're saying Russell should be the MVP.
Russell, when he's off the court, is not as bad as when LeBron is off the court, even though he has Kyle Korver, even though he has a Kevin Love.
No. Here's the point. When you have a game, remember, there's offense and there's defense. Robertson is a really good defender, and he makes James work hard. And I was impressed with James' game last night, even though it's not shockingly great numbers, but against Robertson, those are big-time numbers. But do you see what he had? Do you see how much help he had, like even in the fourth quarter? Let me get out the fourth quarter. Do you see what Eric Gordon did in the fourth quarter? Did you see what Patrick Beverly did?
Lou Williams.
Yep. How about that? So in the fourth quarter, Patrick Beverly had 8 points. Wait a second. So he made his 1-3. And wait, Eric Gordon had 11 points in the fourth quarter. He made 2 out of 3 threes. So those are big-time shot-making help that you're getting from one guy's coming off the bench. Westbrook's got nobody. It's sad what he's got. I can't believe that they got this far. I can't believe it. And you watch, when they get to Oklahoma City and you got the crowd on your side, because that's a tough place to play, they're going to win 2 games in Oklahoma City, and then we'll see how bad you're screaming.
The role players always play better at home because of the emotion of the crowd. But let me ask you this. How does those 43 missed shots that Russell has taken and missed, how does that help the team?
Okay, well, here's what happened. So in the fourth quarter, when he doesn't rest, when he's going 1-on-5 so much, he clearly just ran out of gas down the stretch.
Russell Westbrook running out of gas?
Yeah, and Billy Donovan said it after the game.
Hold on.
He said, I'm not going to make excuses, but I got to start to monitor. I'm paraphrasing how he said it, but I got to start to monitor his minutes a little better.
So in other words,
clearly he got tired.
I'm not going to make any excuses, but I'm going to make an excuse.
It's a deserved excuse because you know what goes first when your legs go, your three-point shot goes, because you got to shoot it more with your legs than any other shot. And Russell's not the greatest three-point shooter. So remember, down the stretch of this game, with the last 3:16 left in the game, he missed 4 threes in just the last 3:16. So one time they had an offensive rebound, shot a 3. Again, he got 2 straight threes and missed both of them. He's not the best three-point shooter. He made 1 bomb that kept him barely alive in the game. And then, do you remember this play? There's one play where he shot a 3, and it was the James Harden special. James Harden leads the league in getting fouled on three-point shots. Could we see that real quick? And he didn't get this call. And I don't know why you don't get this call.
Because he didn't get fouled.
Here. He got... Boom!
You tried to
hit him in the side. Hit him in the side. You got to call that. No. James Harden, you touch him, and he gets every call from 3.
Skip, you get results or you get excuses. Now, which one do you want? Because I need to know moving forward. Are we going to go with results or excuses? Now, which side are you on? The results or the excuses?
I'm on the facts side.
No, you're not.
I just gave you nothing but facts, and you know it, and I know it.
Alternative facts.
You can't ask Russell not to rest at all and try to play the whole fourth quarter. He lost his legs. And who?
Skip Conway. Kelly and Conway. Alternative facts. Don't worry about it. Keep going. Go ahead.
What does that mean? I don't know.
In 2 games, Russell Westbrook has shot the ball 66 times. He's 23 of 66. Russell Westbrook shot the ball more in the fourth quarter than Kevin Durant took shots the entire season. Kevin Durant averaged 16 shots this season. Russell took 18, and they wonder why he wanted to get out of OKC.
Does Kevin Durant have any help? He's got Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and Iguodala.
How about this here? Okay.
Well, that's a lot of help.
Skip, I'm gonna put it to you like this.
Yeah, help me out. Show me one good player here on Russell's
Last
side.
year.
Help me out.
Last year.
Help me out.
Russell
Where is
Westbrook.
Steven Adams? Whatever happened to Steven Adams? I used to know him well. Where is he now? Could they put out an APB? Because he may be back in New Zealand. I don't know who that guy is who's playing now.
They put an APB out on Russell Westbrook's shot. But how about this here? Last year, with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook averaged 10.4 assists. Second best player in the NBA. Without Kevin Durant, he averaged 10.4 assists. Now, you would think, if you got the second best player in the NBA, how easy is it for you to get assists? But he didn't want to use him. He wanted to be the man. He wanted to play hero ball. So Kevin Durant said, you keep your friends Spalding or Wilson. I'm going to Golden State because Steph, Draymond, they call him McGregor because he does some of everything.
You are saying that because I have taught you this for 6 straight months. I've been saying that for 3 years.
I've been remedial.
Exactly, I predicted 3 years ago Kevin would leave Russell, and everybody said, that is insane. How dare you? That's just shock jock
Yeah,
stuff.
you told me.
Oh, really? It happened. It happened.
Skip.
You're just repeating my argument. I told you why.
Oh,
so now he left him high and dry, and
He
Russell
didn't leave
said,
him high and
okay,
dry.
watch this.
He should have knew this was coming when you ball hogging.
Yeah.
What that man supposed to do?
You know what's coming when they go back to Oklahoma City with this series, right?
They'll win one game.
I think they're going to win both games.
Would you want to put
they should have won.
Oh, we gonna put some dew on it?
Oh, okay.
Or you gonna barbecue or mildew?
I'm going to see how many points you give me.
I ain't giving you jack. You at home.
Yeah, you were going to give me 22 last night.
Say that again. What was I gonna do? Preface it. What did I say? Past tense. I was. I'm not any longer.
Well, Russ isn't going to get much rest. Game 3 is Friday night in Oklahoma City.
No mercy.
Thanks, guys. Before we get into the next debate, Shannon has a word about our friends at Stamps.com.
Thanks, Joy. These days, you can practically get everything on demand, like this podcast you're listening to right now. So why are you still going to the post office and dealing with those limited hours when you can get postage with Stamps.com? Anything you can do at the post office, you can do with Stamps.com, like buy or print postage for any package or letter right from your own computer. And unlike the post office, Stamps.com never closes. I hate going to the post office. There's always a long line, also hard to find parking. Why would I want to do that when I can sit at my own home behind my computer and print off the postage that I need? A 4-week trial that includes postage and a digital scale. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Undisputed. That's Stamps.com and enter Undisputed. Stamps.com and never go to the post office again.
Thanks, Shannon. Again, that's Undisputed on Stamps.com for this special offer. Click on the microphone on the top of the homepage, enter Undisputed, Stamps.com, never go to the post office again. Now back to the show.
No mercy.
We're joined now by Grammy winner in front of the show. Welcome back, Nelly. Good to have you back on Undisputed.
Mo better come back and get some of these gloves. He come back and get these gloves.
Here we go. To get hot in here or
Well, let's get started.
Appreciate it.
Good to have you back. Are we finally close to a Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor mega fight? Dana White was on The Herd yesterday and broke down the money that could make this fight a reality. Let's take a listen.
It depends on how much the fight sells, and if the fight sells as well as I think it can. Floyd makes a little north of 100, and Conor makes 75.
Mayweather's bothered by the split because he feels what? He should get how much of it?
Yeah, he feels like he's the A side and he should get more of it. We haven't really got into that negotiation yet. I wanted to get McGregor locked in first because McGregor's under contract with me. And at the end of the day, does this fight make a ton of sense for me? It really doesn't. But, Conor wants this thing really bad, and I've said it many times. Kid stepped up and saved some big fights for me, man. So I'm in. I'll figure it out. The Conor side, we're good on the Conor side. I need to figure out the Mayweather side, and maybe it can't be. Maybe the Mayweather side can't be done. But we'll see. I promised Conor I'd do everything I could to make this thing happen. So that's what I'm going to do.
Nelly, would this be a fair split?
You know what? The more it sounds like right now, Dana starts to sound more and more like a boxing promoter. The more and more, I think this is what used to separate him. You used to separate him as far as the UFC from boxing was the way it's promoted. It's kind of like you believed what Dana was saying. You believed him to be an honest person. I still do. I like Dana. This is not saying that, nothing personal. I'm just saying business-wise. It seems like he's being more and more of of a promoter now than someone that's honestly wants to have the best interest at heart. Not saying that. So he just said that, you know, McGregor's under contract with him, but he wants to make sure that McGregor's locked in. Well, you're the lock. You know what I'm saying? Like you're the locked. You know what I'm saying? If he's signed to you, how is he not locked? He's a done deal. So again, that's what kind of makes me think here. And I'm probably, you know, the last person that's going to sit up here and defend Floyd. You know what I mean? But I mean, at the end of the day, I see where he's coming from in a sense of as a total package. I mean, I excluding the Berto fight, because I think the Berto numbers were probably his lowest in the past 10, 12 years. And
he made how much for that fight?
McGregor coming off of 1.3 million viewers, and that Berto fight was probably a little bit over 500,000.
Yep.
Which is a drastic drop.
You did your homework.
Which is a drastic. Well, I mean, I was given that.
So in that McGregor Alvarez fight,
right,
he did 1.3 million buys. How much did Conor make?
Well, I don't know that. I don't know that. I'm just saying as far as what's sold. Like he just said, it depends on how we sell the fight. I think they're definitely going to partnership. I think Mayweather should at least make double of what McGregor's making.
We talk.
And that's just me.
Now you talking.
I think he should. I think he should be at least, if McGregor's getting 75, I think Floyd should be at least promised 150.
See,
at least promised
all
150.
this time, this man been talking for...
What you mean?
You've been talking for 3 minutes and cooking with Pam. Now you cooking with Crisco. Now you cooking.
Well,
now you hot.
Well, here's the thing, though, also, because... Who's controlling the gate? And when I say that, I mean
you a box. It's gonna be a box.
Well, who's gonna pick where this fight takes place?
Mayweather. It's gonna be in Vegas. It's gonna be at the MGM Grand. It's gonna be at the T-Mobile.
But why does it have to be?
Because it's boxing. And I'm the biggest boxer.
Your last fight was 500,000.
Okay, you know what?
Your last fight is 500,000. Okay. Don't stretch too far because ain't nobody out there gonna give you 4.4 mil other than Pacquiao.
Hold up.
And I don't think nobody wants to see that.
How about this here? How many times has Conor been over 2 million?
He's still growing though. The point is, each kind of fight gets larger and larger.
No, he did 1.65 in the rematch with Diaz. So he dropped down 300,000 buys when he fought Alvarez. I mean, you came prepared, so did I.
You right.
So did I.
You right.
How about this here?
You right. But 4.4 to 500,000.
Yeah. But
that's not a drop. That's a
precipitous fall. How about this here, Skip? Dana White says, okay, if the fight does the amount of buys that I think it would, Floyd's going to do north of 100 million.
Right.
Way north. I'm talking about like Greenland. Way like the North Pole. Way north. Because if he did 4.6 million buys with Pacquiao, he made 240. This fight's going to do at least 5 million buys.
Well, you got to understand though too. Don't take that away from Pacquiao. You talking about way bigger global star. Like Mayweather is one of the greatest fighters we've ever seen, but globally his numbers ain't like that. Globally his numbers ain't like that.
How about this here? Floyd Mayweather, last 16 fights, he's made at least 25 million. He made 240 to fight Pacquiao. He made 73 to fight Canelo, which did way more buys than anything.
And you're talking about fighters who he is fighting that has a bigger global presence, and some of them also have nations behind them.
Boxer.
Some of them also have nations behind them.
First of all, Skip, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to let you go, Skip. I don't believe anything Dana White says. Because first of all, Dana White said the fight was not going to happen. There's no way this fight's going to happen. Then he said, I stand a better chance of being a backup to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl than this fight happening.
Yeah, he sounded
Then
crazy.
he said Conor McGregor is going to do... First of all, when you want to talk Floyd Mayweather, I told you, Skip Bayless, way back when you get to 150, Floyd Mayweather will pick up the phone. You get to 200, then he's going to send Leonard Ellaby over there to talk to you personally. So this is where we are. You know what we need, Skip Bayless? Them Hermes, you know about them Hermes bags, right?
Yeah.
Man, they had them racks coming up out them things after that last
But the
pack.
thing is he ain't gonna get this fight with nobody else. He's
We
not
don't
gonna
need
get them
this.
numbers. Yo, okay. So you say.
So Shannon, help me out.
So you say.
Floyd is how old is Floyd Mayweather
Floyd is
Jr.?
40.
Wait, we got to take the junior off his name
40.
because he doesn't deserve to have a junior after
So
his name
you-
because he's 40 years old.
How old's Tom Brady?
What does it matter? He's not fighting Conor McGregor, is he? Okay.
He fighting a
This is
bum.
boxing.
Tom
right?
Brady a junior?
Okay.
No.
So
He actually is. Actually, he is a
once
junior.
upon a time, Floyd was the A side here, but he is ancient history because he hasn't fought anybody with a real rotator cuff now for what's it been, like 4 years since he
Stop,
really fought a
Skip.
real opponent?
Stop.
Serious? No, I'm just telling you the truth. So what we heard from Dana yesterday was he is being a boxing promoter. He's trying to just get Floyd to come to the negotiating table. So he threw out, well, Conor's locked in at 75, but Floyd, we might go a little north of 100. Baloney you will, because in the end, the A side of this fight, the biggest draw in this fight is Conor McGregor. You mentioned Greenland. Will they watch this fight? Will they be able to watch the fight in Greenland?
Yeah.
How about Ireland?
Yeah.
How about China?
Yeah.
I think so. So,
Yeah.
so wait a second.
Europe.
Globally,
Yeah.
UFC has taken over from the sport of boxing.
Okay.
Again, I'm a longtime hardcore old school boxing fan,
Yep.
but I got to face the facts. UFC owns the world now. Boxing is still trying to hang on in the United States of America, and I think Floyd has quite a following here.
And to Floyd's credit, he's been the face of American boxing.
Okay, he has, but he used to be the face. Now he's 40 years old. Conor is 28 years of age, and he is the baddest man on the planet.
40 years old and
he is
49-0.
He is a showman. If you go to a Conor McGregor fight, it is an event. Floyd is not a showman. I'm sorry. He's the most boring fighter in the history of boxing. He just is.
Hold on.
It's hard to watch.
But guess what?
Pretty boring.
But when he comes to fight, guess who comes to town? Denzel Washington, J. Lo, Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck,
But you know what?
Tom Hanks.
They got all their tickets for free.
I don't care how they got them.
They got all their tickets for free.
So
and at the end of the day, they not paying for none of them tickets.
Hold on. So let me ask you a question. So you think if they go to Conor McGregor fight, they're not getting those tickets for free?
Yeah, but the thing is
Well, talk to me now.
yeah, but they in the know. You coming to see Floyd, not about in the know. You coming out because he's all boxing's got.
Yeah, guess who goes to Conor McGregor fight?
Kanye.
Kanye goes to It's over. It's over. It's over.
Hey.
It's over. I just topped all those
No, you
names.
didn't.
Yes, I did.
Because guess what I saw?
End of argument.
I saw, you know what I saw happen? I saw Michael Jordan at the Kentucky Derby.
Mike there.
So what?
Mike
And
there.
he flew, he got on his jet, he painted, it got tiger stripes.
got the jump man on it.
Yeah, but it used to be light blue.
Yeah.
But he painted it, got the tiger stripes on it. He took that from Louisville, Kentucky, and flew 4 hours just to see Floyd, the money,
And he didn't
Mayweather.
When was
And
that?
who was he fighting?
Well, what does this have to do? They wasn't there for the Birdo fight.
Yeah, where were they for that Birdo
look,
fight?
I'm just saying that's the last fight he did. If you saying they showing up to see his fights, and Birdo, my man,
When have they shown up to see Conor?
Conor's still growing, cuz he's 28 years old.
And
you gotta give him, as he grows, it's more or less, but what I'm saying is, everybody who you named was going to fights before Floyd. So it's nothing more or less to Floyd's credit as opposed to boxing's credit.
I tell you what,
everybody's coming out to see UFC, is coming out, they like UFC, but right now the star is him. He's carrying the load.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
Have you ever in your long-legged life
I'm short-legged, but go ahead.
seen somebody hand raised with Floyd Mayweather in the ring?
Nah.
I have seen Conor McGregor.
What they got to do with the show, OG?
When I saw Nate Diaz make Conor McGregor call him uncle, and turn him loose.
Yeah.
It's not boxing.
Hey,
But
help me out,
that's
Shannon.
a different
Shannon.
fight. That's a
Wait
different
second.
fight, Shannon.
The last time
Come
that
on, OG.
Floyd Mayweather Jr. knocked out somebody in a boxing ring was what year?
I was in
Knocked
high
him
school.
out.
No, I'm just joking.
Wait a second. 1999.
He knocked out Ricky Hatton.
He didn't knock you out. It's a technical knockout. I'm talking about not
He
KO.
ain't want them more.
Well, that
KO.
count. That counts.
See,
Don't take that
this is
away.
what you do.
Technical knockout. That work. I give him that. I give him that. But we ain't seen Ricky Hatton since though. So that.
Of course not.
But what I'm saying is that a lot of these fighters, Listen,
De La Hoya, you didn't see him. Shane Mosley, you didn't see
De La Hoya was
40 years
115 years old when he fought him.
We should have climbed in the ring, but we kicked his butt anyway.
We gotta leave it there.
No mercy.
The Super Bowl champion Patriots visited the White House yesterday. Well, some of them did. 34 Patriots went, while 34 players did not attend. Tom Brady was one of those that did not go and said in a statement yesterday that it was due to a family matter. Shannon, were you surprised by the turnout of the Patriots?
I was surprised that many black players showed up. I wasn't surprised, 34 players showed up. And when you factor in the practice squad guys that's on injured reserve, I think they said like it was supposed to be like 68 players, 34 of them showed up. But I was surprised how many African-American players showed up, Skip. And I'm not so sure. They might have been fillers. They might have like, oh, man, you got a big neck. Come on. We need you to stand into this photo op because Skip,
I don't think that was the case, but go ahead.
Skip, I recognized like 3 or 4 black guys. I'm sorry, Skip. And then the extent in which the Patriots went out of their way to make sure, because the New York Times came out with a story and tweeted a photo and posted a picture of 2015, and they had, members standing up the stairwell, and they had, members standing. And then the Patriots, about 4 hours later, goes out of their way to say what happened is that some of those were front office people, and they were standing up on the stairwell last time, and this time they were on the lawn. So you didn't get an opportunity to see them. It just goes to show you that they're going out of their way. Now, first of all, in 2015, there were 50 football players of the 68 that showed up. This time, there was 34 of the 68. Now, I don't know. Maybe in a different language, 50 is less than 34. But here in America, 50 is more than 34. So anytime 50 showed up the first time and 34 shows up this time, that's a big differential. And for the Patriots to go out of their way, because we know one thing about this president, he doesn't like to be shown up and he doesn't like to lose, because he spent the first week after his inauguration talking about the crowd size. And then he spent another 3 days saying that he had more electoral college votes than anyone since Reagan. When President Obama beat him, President Clinton beat him, President Bush beat him, the first Bush beat him. And so now it just goes to show you, George Orwell, Skip, you know who he is, great writer of the novel 1984. He says, the further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those that speak it. And the New England Patriots hate the fact that the New York Times tweeted a picture of 2015 visit to the White House as opposed to 2017. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen, as I mentioned earlier. This president doesn't like to lose. He doesn't like to be shown up. There's a good chance that moving forward, these visits will happen with less and less frequency until in the end, because President Bush, President Obama, they like to fill out the NCAA bracket. He didn't do that this time. Okay, fine. But then he says, I'm not going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And now nobody that's affiliated with the White House is going to the dinner. So we see how he doesn't like the coverage that he's getting through the media. He doesn't like what's being said. He will boycott it. So when these teams start showing up with less and less of their members, there's a good likelihood, Skip, that this will be a thing of the past while this president is in office.
By the way, yesterday you did say that our current president really doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. And I said, no, just the opposite. He cares more than perhaps any president this country's ever had. I think you're seeing that way.
Yeah, I think the thing is, for him, he would have loved Brady to come, and he made it a conscious effort to not mention him because he wasn't there. He did mention Danny Amendola. Danny Amendola wasn't there. He had a funeral to attend.
That was a faux pas. Where's Danny?
Not here. But I think the thing is, here's the thing, though, Skip. Mr. Kraft was there. They don't put out that statement, the Patriots, without his blessing and Coach Belichick. He made it known that Coach Belichick sent him 2 letters.
He did.
And the second one was better than the first because it was kind of over the top in its praise.
He said Belichick asked to redo it. If he's going to publicize it, let me redo the letter. And Trump's point was that instead of toning down his support. He toned it, according to the president, up. He toned it up.
Well,
Just
you know,
for the-
now
yeah.
you know what we know about this president. He will add yeast to a story.
He might.
He makes sure. I mean, it might have been this big, but by the time he tell it, it's gonna be way up here.
Well, he told it with Coach Belichick about 4 feet away, right behind him, smiling. So I don't know. It'd be, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my view of this is basically your view, because I tell you on these topics, I always defer to you. So after listening to you, these several months, I'm to the point where you've convinced me that no team going forward with majority black players, obviously men or women, they're just not going to go. And so I was prepared yesterday to see Mr. Kraft, Coach Belichick, and like 6 or 7 white guys. That's what I was prepared to see.
Right.
And I didn't see that. So I was shocked over this because I was buying what you've been telling me.
Yes.
And so 34 attended and 17 African-American faces are there.
Right.
Now, again, you say you don't know who they are, but I'm looking at the picture, and I know who Matthew Slater is because
Slater.
he's a team leader and he's a 6-time Pro Bowler. And I know Marcus Cannon because he's turned into one of the best offensive linemen in all of pro football after struggling against your Broncos in the AFC Championship game.
On defense, but what was Butler?
Okay, I'm going down the list.
Okay.
Jabal Sheard, I know because he's been in and out of the doghouse occasionally, but he can rush the passer on occasion.
Yeah.
And Malcolm Mitchell rose and shone as a rookie in the Super Bowl, so I know who he is. We know Jacoby Brissett because he got to play a game.
But he tweeted out how inspired he was by seeing the photo of President Obama.
Okay, that's fine. Trey Flowers, good player. I know who he is. Kyle Van Noy, know who he is. Eric Rowe, big contribution as sort of the third cornerback, but he
played well.
Playing a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know those guys, and I look at the numbers, and again, the number I saw was 45 went 2 years ago, but I don't know, 45 or 50, whatever, somewhere in that ballpark. But I also look back at the numbers that went after the Patriots had won their first Super Bowl, and then they went 2-3 right in a row, second and third. That's 2004, 2005. 36 win in 2004, so that's just 2 more than yesterday. And then the following year, it's getting to be old hat, only 27 went, which is less than the 34 yesterday. And then to your point of 45 or 50 went 2 years ago. Well, obviously, it's our first black president. Did that play some factor? I don't know, maybe. But here's the other factor that you have to mitigate into this. The Patriots hadn't been for 10 years. Right. So clearly, more are going to go because your Broncos 2 years ago, because it had been so long since they won a Super Bowl, had been all the way back to 98. They said they had almost a full turnout. I don't know how many it is, 60-something?
Yeah.
But they said they had almost perfect attendance.
Right.
Now, if you had been on that team, they would have been -1 because you just wouldn't have gone.
Yeah, but they knew that. But also, Skip, if you think about it, who was in office? Now, although President Bush wasn't as unpopular as this president, there were some things that happened. You remember Katrina? A lot of blacks held that against President Bush.
Could be.
9/11 happened. There were some things that maybe some of the African Americans didn't view him as in a favorable light. But here's also what's interesting too, Skip. This can't go unsaid, is that a lot of people don't view the office of the president as a person. They view it as an institution. And although I might disagree with some of the things he said, I'm going to see the president. I'm going to the White House. And when will I ever get another opportunity to go to do this? So, and some people might look at it like this. I'm a firm believer. I'm in the camp that says the president is an institution. And I think that institution should be respected at all times. Now, I don't always agree, and I don't think this president clearly respects the institution of presidency with some of the things he's said, some of the things he's done, but that's just me. But with that being said, Skip, I think is that when you look at this, now, hockey, they're the majority, white. They're not a whole lot of black or now it's going to be interesting. The Russians play Russian, but we know how President Trump feels about Russia. That's neither here nor there. But when you start getting baseball teams with these Latin-born players, when you start getting these basketball teams with predominantly African-American players, we know how Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr feel.
We do.
We don't even need to speculate. We know how LeBron James feel. Now, Dan Gilbert might go with the trophy, but the likelihood of that team, they're not going.
Well, what surprised me was, after all you've said, and again, all I took to heart, I got to the point where I was fearful for any black player to go because he's risking condemnation on social media, right?
Yeah,
and so now if you have 17, are they going to be condemned? Are they going to be the 17, the
But here's
New
the
England
thing.
17?
But think about this, Skip. If you're a black player on that team, Mr. Kraft, Coach Belichick, we know what they think about him. If you don't go, this might be viewed as a protest, that you're taking a stance. Now,
some have taken public stands.
Yeah, but look at how prominent they are. Devin McCourty is just not a guy. He's really the voice of that locker room.
And he participated in a separate video.
Right. Alan Branch,
Yep.
he was on the news last night. Now, Zeus Hightower said, I ain't going to Alabama. This old hat, been there, done that, don't need to go again.
Okay.
Malcolm Butler didn't show up. He's one of their better players.
Yep.
But what about these guys that are not the top-notch guys? This might be viewed as, because Jerry said, this is my playpen. And when the national anthem is being played, now, because we found out yesterday also that some of these owners donated $1 million to the inauguration fund of President Trump. Mr. Trapp was one of those owners. Now, I don't know, Skip, if I'm a fringe player or one of these players that I'm not really a household name, how am I going to be viewed if my owner has been so staunchly supporting this guy?
Maybe.
If my head coach has written 2 letters that's been very public in support of this guy, how will I be viewed if I choose not to go?
It's a tough question. The ones I named, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I named 8 who I don't think would have any fear of that. The ones I named who are more high caliber.
But I don't think Shear is there. Is he still there? I think he didn't get. I think he left.
Yeah. Well, he was there yesterday.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
He would be the one who'd be on, because he was in the doghouse much of the
much
year.
of the year.
Okay, but the other guys are not in the doghouse, and they're all
Marcus Cannon turned into a very good guard
he
for him.
really did.
Well, they moved him to tackle, didn't he? They bumped him outside. Yes.
So will you think less going forward of these, 7 of those 8 black players I named for attending and participating?
No. For me to think less of you, I had to think very highly of you to begin with. I don't know enough about them and their political stance. But given for me personally, but I follow politics a little closer than probably they do. And I listen to what's being said. I also listen to the agenda that's being set forth. So I'm probably a lot more socially conscious about these things because, Skip, they got to worry about football. Me, I just track sports, and I got 2 hobbies now: sports and politics.
You do.
And that's all I do.
I got it.
So I'm probably a little bit ahead of where they are. But there will come a time and they'll look back and maybe it's like, I don't know if that was the wisest thing. But I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to hold them in condemnation because they chose to go to visit the White House and get maybe a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Absolutely not.
This is a tricky, complex issue because if Shannon Sharpe were able to sit quietly off camera with these guys I named and go heart to heart,
yes,
you might hear a different side and you'd say, okay, I get it. I get what you're talking about.
But I'm going to ask him, I say, okay, you've heard some of the things he said.
Yep.
So is there anything that you agree with what he's done, what he said? Are you all for the border wall? Are you all for the xenophobe? Are you all for the banning of basically a particular race of people? Forget where they're from. No, that's what I want to know because, like I said, but here's the thing though, Skip. If they view this as an institution and says, I'm going to the White House, I'm fine. Because like I said, this might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. One of my biggest regrets over the last 20 years is that I had an opportunity to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner when President Obama was there. And I did not go, Skip, because I wanted to go see the man.
But you had to train.
No, Skip. You know what, Skip? It slipped my mind. But I wanted to go, Skip. I wanted to see him in office. So when I go meet my maker, I wanted to be able to tell my grandfather, because I'll never forget it, Skip. In 1976, he said, son, you can be anything you want to be.
Yep.
But you'll never be a president. They're never going to put a black man in office. And now, I don't know if my grandmother's beat me to the punch. I don't know if one of my uncles have beat me to the punch. But I want to tell him, Papa, there was a black man in the White House.
I got it. No, I'm with you. So, again, clearly, I'm not black. And yet, I've told you before.
You got a black soul, though. I mean,
you
black. You one of us, Skip.
Thank you. But I did not vote for Donald Trump, and I definitely do not agree with many of his policies. But I'm different this way, but I'm not black, so I can't relate to your feelings. In the end, he won a Democratic election. That's all I know. You can pick it all to pieces, but he won. And so I still love this country. So now I got to support this president, and I got to root for him to please make the right decisions. Okay, that's where I am now. Right?
He won because as all the outlandish things he said and done, there were 60 million people that agree with what he said and did. And do you
a number of them were black people.
Yes.
I don't exactly know how many, but a good number.
And why should we be surprised, Skip?
Maybe they regret it now. It's possible. But
why are we surprised that wealthy billionaire white owners support that Donald Trump when he's going to keep in place really the status quo? Not only are they going to keep their wealth, it's going to escalate because he's going to put right.
So, well, I mean, despite how polarizing this president is and divisive he is, it still is the White House, and you may never get an opportunity to go back there.
And it's still a football team that should have a unity about it. Where
and a family and relationships and Tom Brady wasn't there. So to the point about them getting on the players that aren't there, Tom Brady wasn't there.
Did you see what Giselle tweeted out about her climate? She's big in the climate. She's big on social issues.
I told you it was just. I told you yesterday.
I know Tom Brady tweeted out a picture of his mom and dad, their 48th wedding anniversary.
I told you.
No mercy.
The Warriors blew out the Blazers last night and took a 2-0 series lead. Kevin Durant did not play after suffering a left calf strain. Steph Curry led the Warriors with 19 points and sat out the fourth quarter. We're joined once again by Nelly and Eddie House. Eddie, I'll start with you. Should Golden State be the prohibitive favorites to win it all?
I don't want to just say they're going to be the clear-cut favorite. Because if you do have LeBron James on the court, the best player in the world, they have a chance to get beat. You always want to have the best player in the best in the big time game, especially if it goes to a game 7. But I mean, they're tough. You know, they're extremely tough out there. I mean, you see what they did last night. I mean, that was a snoozer last night, number one. It almost put me to sleep.
It did put me to sleep.
I had to stay watching it so I could just stay on top of what I wanted to say. But I almost went to sleep on it. But when you can do what you did to Portland with no Kevin Durant, Draymond is an X factor, but Clay, with the block and then came down and hit a 3. Protect the rim, run the floor, hit a 3. I don't think there's another team out there that has those type of dynamics, and I think that they can be the favorite, but I don't want to just crown a team yet. You know, you still have to go out there and play the games.
Well, look, everybody knows I'm a LeBron fan and the Cavaliers.
Really?
But you got for real a little bit. But when you got, let's be realistic. They got 4 of the top 20 players in the NBA. Probably 4 of the top 15 if you Clay, Steph, and KD. So, and then Draymond, McGyver, he can do it all.
Don't underestimate him.
Because think about it, even after the Cavaliers won the title, the next day, the Warriors opened up in Vegas as the favorite to win the title this year. So, I believe as long as KD is healthy, because with no KD, no jewelry. If KD is healthy, they can win the jewelry. But when you got that king
that's a little different.
That's been in the middle of the ocean and can drag you out there, and he know you can't swim the shore.
What they start doing?
Panicking.
Well, that's my thing is the whole KD situation in the sense of I think they play better without him to a certain degree, and that's just me.
Thank you.
I think they're a much better team.
Play in Portland.
I don't know. I mean, they broke a record without him. They broke a record without him. They got a ring without him. Only thing they can do is you never set yourself up for failure. So not winning with KD on there is an extreme failure to the utmost in any sports franchise that's ever been put together. There's more pressure on them to win than anything. So it's not even on the king. So that's why I feel like he's in a better situation because KD went there, because now he gets to play possum a little bit more, and he gets to see exactly what he can do.
What about the Lakers? When they had Shaq, Kobe, Gary Payton, Karl Malone.
But they had 2 players that was on the back end of career when you talk about Karl Malone and Gary Payton. You're talking about someone KD that's still in their prime that was arguably the second best, and some might have thought at a certain point in time the best player in the league.
Who thought that?
But the chemistry. my thing is the chemistry.
Chemistry is a science class in high school.
Well, okay then, but it also what goes up comes down. And energy is never lost nor destroyed. It's transferred from one party to the next. So this is what we're talking about. So now, hold on. So now when you talk about the chemistry, Steph Curry looks like a different Steph Curry when Kevin Durant is not on the court.
Totally.
His mental is in a different place.
Yeah.
You can see the way he vibes with the play. Klay Thompson is in a different place when Kevin Durant is not on the court. Draymond is Draymond no matter where he's playing, if he's indoor, outdoor, on the park, or whatever.
Because you know why? it's easier to play when you are the best on the court. When KD stepped foot in that building in Oracle, everybody drops down a notch. Steph Curry, you now number 2.
Yeah, but that's not a good thing.
You now number 3.
But that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing.
They're not beating They're not beating San Antonio without KD, and they're definitely not beating the king.
Well, listen, I don't know if they're gonna beat San Antonio with KD.
Oh, they go.
That's something different.
What do you think, Skip?
Go ahead.
I can't say that if without Kevin Durant, the Warriors are a better team. I just can't agree to that. You can't say that. Well, take this guy. You know what happened is Steph got his swag back. He was a while around open. I have no idea.
It's only one idea.
I have no idea.
It's only one idea.
He knew what was happening
when
he signed.
It's just like chemistry.
He knew
you
what
take
when
one
he signed.
element out, you have.
He knew what happened when he signed. He knew he was coming.
Yeah, but
and KD is not a guy that hogs the ball. So he's still getting shots. They moved the basketball the way they are. He just missing a shot. He wasn't the man at the beginning of the year. I think because he went from number 1 option to number 2, that kind of messed with his psyche a little bit.
Exactly.
So he got his swag back with him being out, but they are definitely not a better team with KD not in the lineup. I'm sorry you can't.
Eddie
he led the team in blocks.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to paraphrase my man Shannon Sharpe. Yes, KD, no jewelry. That's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Because what happened in game 1? He had a very quiet, efficient 32 and 11 rebounds, and it was a tie game after 3 quarters, and they pulled away and won by 12. Then last night, wait a second, there's no KD. Right?
Yes.
And what happened to the guards? The guards said, we got to lock in. We got to be ourselves. We got to be our own. We can't hang back and just fall back and ride KD tonight. So they just take out the 2 guards from Portland last night. They just shut them out, right? Shut them down. And what happened? The game was over after 3 quarters. I've been watching all year. Look, on paper, you're right. It's laughable to think you wouldn't be as good with KD in this mix, but he is a huge presence, and then it becomes his team instead of Steph's team. There's no doubt about it. I can show you that 11 games they lost with Kevin Durant this year, and if I go through and we don't have time to do it, but you'll say, oh, that's a bad loss. That was a bad loss. Because they haven't figured it out yet. Now he's going to be gone for we don't know how long, 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, because they don't need him against Portland. But it's going to be hard to figure out the playoff, big game, tight game chemistry. It is a chemistry class in the playoffs, as you know, and they are going to struggle with him, trying to fit him into their mix.
But to your point last night, C.J. McCollum and Dame Lillard, that first game, they was out of their mind. That's the reason why the game was tied. These guys was playing out of their mind. But last night, they was not hitting shots like that.
But Steph and Clay, the first game, were like, we don't care. Shoot your brains out because we got KD.
No, that's not what it was. They was getting whooped.
Thank you.
Pure whoop. C.J. McCollum couldn't miss. He was hitting floaters, left hand, right hand, threes, step back threes, step back jumpers. He was on fire. The Dame was doing what Dame do.
Those 2 Golden State guards last night, they said, watch this.
So
they didn't watch it that much as much as they was just missing shots.
So you're saying that Golden State is a better team when Kevin Durant is leading the team?
No, they're not better.
That's what I said.
Yes,
okay.
Correct. I'm with you.
Oh, all right.
No mercy.
ESPN's Mel Kiper came out with his latest mock draft, and he has Mitchell Trubisky as the only quarterback going in the first round. Kiper has Trubisky going 12th to the Browns, followed by Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson early in the second round. Deshaun Kaiser is his 6th quarterback off the board in the 3rd round. Skip, do you agree?
Before I answer that question, let me say I know Mel, I respect Mel, I take Mel's opinions to the bank. But this is what strikes me in the big picture about this draft, as almost every draft does when it comes to quarterbacks. The opinions are all over the draft map.
I don't think we've ever seen anything like this.
Maybe not this. This is a capper.
Yeah.
But what always strikes me about picking quarterbacks, and I always put myself out on the end of the limb before every draft with a lot of the potential high pick quarterbacks, is that when it comes to picking quarterbacks, a lot of NFL teams do not have a clue, and I can just prove it because there are so many high swings and misses.
Yes.
And then we go down to the mid-rounds, and we see the former greatest quarterback in the history of football, Joe Montana, was a third-round pick. And the current greatest quarterback and player in the history of football, Tom Brady, was a 6th-round pick.
Yep.
And we can keep on keeping on because my guy, Dak Prescott, in Dallas was a 4th-round pick. And Kurt Warner wasn't even drafted by anybody. And Russell Wilson, who's now been to 2 Super Bowls and won one, 3rd-round pick. How do you explain it? Am I going to give any of those teams, the 49ers with Montana or the Patriots with Brady, am I going to give them credit for stealing Joe Montana in third? No, they didn't know. They got lucky.
Yep.
Do you think Bill Belichick, if he'd really known Tom Brady was going to be Tom Brady, would he let him wait and last until the 6th round?
No.
He would have taken him in the first round if he really believed in him.
That would have been the Patriots' first pick.
Correct? Because how could you risk that somebody's not laying in the weeds out there, smoke screening, we're not going to pick a quarterback, and they take Tom Brady with the 10th overall pick, right?
Right.
And you'd say, oh my God, I know he was going to be the greatest player ever, but we didn't get him because we were going to wait to steal him in the 6th round. Baloney, you weren't going to wait.
Yeah.
So this is what I always say about picking quarterbacks. If you are convinced that, let's say, Deshaun Watson, or let's do Mitchell Trubisky, if you're convinced that guy is your franchise quarterback, you know when you should take him? As soon as you can. Because you can't say, well, nobody else is going to take him. And Mel says that maybe Deshaun will be there high second, so let's see if we can steal him. No, you can't steal him because somebody's going to beat you to the punch if he's really that guy. I think he's that good. So I told you with Cleveland's #1 overall pick, I would take Deshaun Watson. That's just me, and I would take it to the bank, and I wouldn't look back. But Mitchell Trubisky, I just don't love him. I think he's high risk, maybe medium reward at best. I'll give it that. But in the end, and I'm going to let you talk because in a second, I'm going to go over some of the picks that I've made in the past. And a lot of it has to do with where they land. Because if you get picked by the wrong team, like here's a quick one, Brandon Whedon. I liked him. I didn't say he was going to be great, but I thought he could be a pretty decent starting quarterback in the NFL. Guess who picked him? The Cleveland Browns. And the first year, he went 5-10 as a starter and had 3 or 4 big games where I said, wow, he looks pretty good. Then he got beat up. Then he lost his confidence. He wound up with my Cowboys and was just a disaster in place of Tony Romo. So some of that depends on who picks you and how bad they and their offensive line are to start with when you're a rookie.
Skip, I agree. And Mel has been doing this a very long time. Mm-hmm. He's done it a lot longer. He's a lot better at it than I am. But I'm going strictly on eye test. I believe there'll be 2 quarterbacks taken in the first round. My eyes tell me. Now, this is what we know. Not only are they looking at the way the quarterback played in college, but they're also projecting what he's going to be like 1, 5, 10 years from now. And so maybe they're looking at it and say, yeah, well, Deshaun Watson was a better quarterback in college. But our projections and our analytics and our stat people tell us that Mitchell Trubisky or Deshaun Kaiser or Patrick Mahomes will be the better quarterback in 5 years. So that's the way maybe they're looking at it. But I'm strictly looking at it with my eyes. When Deshaun Watson came out, there was a lot of hoopla about him. Clemson thought so much of him, they called Steve Fuller. He's one of the few guys that have his number retired by that university. Mm-hmm. They called him and asked, could they give this young man the number 4? Mm-hmm. He had worn it basically his whole life. Skip, when a university will call a player and ask can they unretire him, it tells you what they think of Watson. Now, okay, that's first and foremost. He came in. He's supposed to be great. He was. He's supposed to win a national championship. He went to 2. He won 1. He was supposed to win the Heisman. Although he didn't win, he went to New York twice.
He did.
So with that, on the biggest stage, in the biggest games, when the lights, when they had the most cameras, Deshaun Watson shined the brightest. Now, I'm looking at Mitchell Trubisky. Now, he's a junior. He's coming out early. But I'm saying, well, hold up. How can a guy be a potential #1 draft pick and he couldn't be the guy that's a practice squad guy and Marquise Williams? And I'm like, well, hold on. What do they know, Skip? When you draft any player, you just hope because you never really know. He can do all he wants on the chalkboard. He can run fast. He can jump high. And he can until you get him in your gear, until you put him in live firing rounds with guys are blitzing and coming at him. You really don't know, because Skip, look at the 2004 draft. They had Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, and Ben Roethlisberger. Everybody can say, I think everybody is happy with what they got. But the 22nd pick in the draft was J.P. Lossman. Nobody, unless you're from Buffalo, and you don't really know who J.P. Lossman is. Skip, you don't know, Skip. You really don't know, because There are certain things in a quarterback or any player that you can't measure. And you don't know what he's going to be like until you get him there, and then he's in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys can process information when there's no one around their feet, when there's no one putting their helmet under their chin. But all of a sudden, that's the thing that really separates the Elways, the Marinos, the Bradys, the Manning. When you take that shot under the chin, you don't flinch. Those guys wouldn't flinch. And then some guys, they would flinch, and then some guys, Skip, they just couldn't process the information because it's got to be instantaneous.
I got it.
They're giving you constantly rotating the looks. And when they give you a look that you are not prepared for, can you still make them pay, or do they make you pay by sacking you and taking the ball away from you? So you never, but quarterback, Skip, because I think the thing is, no one drafts a defensive lineman and says, that's the guy that's going to take us to the Super Bowl. Nobody drafts a wide receiver and says, that's the guy that's going to take us to the Super Bowl. But everybody drafts a quarterback saying what, Skip? He's a franchise guy, and we can win a championship.
The position.
That's it.
Okay. So just quickly, I'm going to go back to that Jake Locker draft with Blaine Gabbert and Christian Ponder.
Yes.
I said on television, you can look it up, that I didn't like any of the three of them. And none of them turned out to be very good. And they all went 8th, 10th, and 12th in the first round of that draft. And then Jamarcus, you can look it up. I said before the draft, what is Al Davis thinking? If he's really going to take him #1 overall, because I watched him a lot and he threw way too many picks. And you can just go back and look at his game log in college at LSU. Look at what happened at Florida that year. And again, I didn't know he was just going to get too heavy and, just turn
heavy
into
is an understatement.
That was a disaster. Brady Quinn, I just didn't love him in college at Notre Dame, and I just said I wouldn't take him. He went 22nd in the first round. I didn't love Matt Leinart. He had all that weaponry around him and soft arm, but I love Matt as our analyst, obviously.
Before you go any further, Brady Quinn, I didn't think he could play quarterback with all those muscles.
He was stiff and, tight. And,
like a fence post.
And robotic.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, and then I go all the way back to Kyle. As I nicknamed him, Kyle, I should have been a bowler.
Yeah.
Fact, do you remember that draft? He went 19th the first round.
Oh, me goodness. And I caught a lot of they drafted I told them I got a better chance of hitting a grand slam in Yankee Stadium with a toothpick than they have of winning a championship with Kyle Bowler. Skip. That was one of Ozzy's. Now, Ozzy's been great because he's drafted 4 Hall of Famers.
He has.
And he got Joe Flacco. He traded and got Joe Flacco.
That wound up. He's not very good in the regular season, but boy, I can't argue with those 25 touchdowns and 10 interceptions in the postseason.
And those
road wins.
And those 7 road wins. He's 10-5 in the playoffs.
Wow.
But Skip, you look, Joey Harrington. Akili Smith, Tim Couch. Skip, you don't think they did all their homework? It's like, man, look at this guy's big, he's physical, he can throw the ball. But you don't know.
And so here's one where you can say I missed on this one. I liked Josh Freeman a lot at Kansas State. And remember the year in 2010 when he led Tampa to 10-6 with 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions? He had some off-the-field issues, and I don't know about those. See, with Johnny, I knew he had some potential drug alcohol problems, so I kept saying on TV, I love Johnny Manziel, but if he has any issues off the field, I'm out, and I'm way out until he can prove me.
Skip, the list goes, you got Andre Ware, you got Todd Marinovich, Dan McGuire, Tommy Maddox, Klingler, Heath Schuler, Jeff Druckenmiller.
This is
Skip.
The money waste.
You never really know.
How many of these quarterbacks have gotten guys fired? Coaches and general managers.
But it's the quarterback. You sometimes you just have to take the plunge.
You know what I find for the most part? When you meet with a lot of these guys, like Jake Locker, we had him on the show, he's such a good guy, and he seems like a coach's dream, and he's such a great young man, and but can he play quarterback?
Couldn't play dead in the horror movie.
Right.
Sometimes niceness is overrated. 2013
really?
was the last time that only one quarterback was taken in the first round, and that was E.J. Manuel, 16th to the Bills. First round of the draft is next Thursday.
How's that working out?
No mercy.
This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter Twitter @Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. Such a fun show today. We're back with our final show of the week tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern on FS1. And of course, it's Friday tomorrow, so we have to bring back Dance Party Friday. So make sure you tweet me @JoyTaylorTalks with what song you want us to dance to tomorrow. We'll be taking some fan questions online about the first couple of games of the NBA postseason. It'll be a lot of fun, so make sure you check it out online. FS1's Facebook page, facebook.com/Fox Sports 1 with the number 1. We would love to have all of our listeners participate with questions and comments, so we'll see you there.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.